Hi, I'm Albert Copland, the Al of Al's Blue Notes and Redlines. Blue Notes for jazz that's memorable and really gets under your skin, and Redlines for all those things that are going wrong and so few going right that get under your skin. I want to talk to you for a second about the middle class in America. That's where I'm feeling a lot of my anger these days. I want to talk about the middle class because it's really bullshit to talk about the middle class in America. There isn't one. Not according to the middle class as established in 1956, the year that was the height of the middle class in America. Things were going well for the middle class. It was growing towards 62% of the population. So we're going to take a look at what's missing from the middle class concept today, as opposed to the middle class concept of 1956, the amount of money involved. It's a rough idea, but it's a clear idea of what I'm trying to illustrate. Now, we want to take a look at what were the common assets of the middle class in 1956. First, home ownership. Actual home ownership. Home ownership of a single-family dwelling in 1956. In 1956, the median value of a home in the United States was $12,000. You mark that up for today, and it's approximately $142,200. That's $142,200 worth of home that you owned in 1956. Now, we also want to take a look at salary. The salary was between $20,000 to $30,000 in that category. So what we're going to do is peg the number at $25,000, just so there's a little extra, a little less, but nothing really distracting. And I want to tell you that $25,000 is equivalent to the purchasing price of approximately $300,000 in 2025. That's $300,000 equivalent take-home pay. Think about it. We have priced the middle class out of existence. That's what we've done in this country. Whether it was intentional or by error and stupidity, it's what's happened. It's the reality we're dealing with today. Working class parameters, and the working class is, of course, the class defined by the U.S. government that does exist and that they look at and mistakenly consider the equivalent of middle class. It is not the equivalent of middle class. Middle class is where the working class want to go. Many people that had middle-class lives in 1956 were really happy with those lives. They were very content. They were comfortable. They were respected in their community. They wore nice clothes. They could go to good schools, send their children to good public schools, the best public school system in the world. Gone. Totally gone. It was definitely in some ways a much better time. Now, of course, I'm painting a picture of statistics that mostly adhered to white America. There was a very noticeable absence, especially when you in modern times look back on the photos from back then. It's just all too apparent what we're talking about in terms of population. But the fact remains that the opportunity to move into the middle class should be equally available to everyone, and that every step should be taken by the government to ensure that that is realized. It has never been realized in this country, and it operates to our political and social disadvantage. Very much so. Pensions and other financial instruments. A pension was guaranteed when you were a worker in 1956, if you were a manufacturing worker. A pension was guaranteed because your union guaranteed it for you. They bargained for you effectively with the owners. And you had shared responsibility for the profitability of the company. And it was a stable situation. That, of course, doesn't exist anymore. And you had other ways for people to save. And all that is foreclosed now. Options are minimal. My opinion is that middle class should be, as these numbers seem to indicate to me. Please contact me if you think they're wrong. But it seems to me that the middle class, or the wannabe middle class, needs to have a clearly defined opportunity to become middle class. And becoming middle class does not mean earning subsistence. It means you don't work 2-3 jobs a day to make just barely enough to get by. It means you actually have some air, some room to breathe in your budget, reasonable room to breathe. You should be able to look forward to at least one nice vacation with your family a year, getaway vacation for long weekends, etc. And you should be able to get those things as a member of the United States middle class, which should be the most prosperous middle class in the history of the world. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world, so I think that should be one of the ways we are the wealthiest. Over 100 million adult men and women among us make less than $100,000 per year. That is slightly less than 1/3 of our population. Try making an annual budget for a family of four on $100,000 a year, and you'll find yourself in an economic handcuff. Inflation threatens to be a very long-term fact of our life here. So you're also going to have less and less purchasing power unless wages keep up with inflation. But the fact of the matter is, 100 million people is 1 in every 3 people amongst us. A gross household income of $100,000 reduced by paid taxes that supported the federal government in today's overheating economy leaves almost no room for life's minor pleasures, including family trips to Disneyland, and even too many trips to McDonald's. Set against the Olympic spread of America's tragic decline, ruin, and its fall, the federal government in today's overheating economy admits no room for the blunt fact that few congressional criminals will raise a constipated chirp about it. There are no votes or money attached to serving their constituents. And finally, let us acknowledge that the nation is so badly yet exactly politically divided that it has profoundly estranged one half of the country from the other, left from right. Martial law looms large in our near future. Institutional devastation is already taking a toll among us with our national commitment to fundamental research upon which the whole world has depended for decades. In fact, ever since World War II. And finally, we need to say that there's the pending murder of school children as a consequence of eliminating their federal food program. If a minor amount of the highly over-budgeted Defense Department was clawed back, as the lovely phrase goes, clawed back and used for the federal food program that has been in place for years, and it's often the only source of food these children get. If the amount of money was extracted from the federal budget for defense, you wouldn't even notice it. It wouldn't be a pimple on an elephant's fanny. So there's extra cruelty in the fact that we've canceled that program. More and more, if you looked at an application for a position in the United States just blindly, you would see, if you considered it a gig, being a citizen of the United States, let's say, as opposed to being a citizen of Denmark, you would see that the better deal is Denmark. You get more benefits, everything you could possibly envision you would want. Care for the elderly. Care for those who are physically disadvantaged. Absolutely a real high minimum standard for living. Adequate money to enjoy your life. Adequate time off to enjoy your life. What's the price? The price is, yes, you pay higher taxes. But it's like other things. Do the options that you get with those higher taxes more than make up for the fact that you're paying that money in for those taxes? Are those the things you want and like that you get from your government? That's the true criteria. Is it competitive against which the otherwise best the world has to offer? Bottom line is, we have to raise a voice about the middle class in this country. We have to raise a lot of voices about a lot of things. I think that it's issues like these that can unify us, and unify us against the sickness that is roiling out of Washington. We have soldiers in Washington today, and we do have martial law on the brink of happening, not just for Washington, not just for California, not just for Texas, but for the country. It's as plain as the 5 fingers on your face. And I want us to keep going. I believe we can keep going. But I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking. I know what I'm thinking. I want to hear what you're thinking because that helps me grow. And I'm hoping very much you'll share with me, especially critical thoughts. I really thrive on them and would like them. Really would like them. And will respect them and probably heed a good many of them. At least I hope so. So thank you very much for hanging with me. And I look forward to hanging with you again next week when we'll talk about music. A little music to break up the seriousness of things. Take care. So long.